Dampare technically took the voice of the police and made it about himself. It was only Dampare and a photographer who didn't cheer or winning photographer of the year in Ghana. Me say Dampare photographer on pictures. My wife is a senior photo editor at the New York Times. All the pictures you see from White House, every picture from New York Times, my wife they decided who goes there to take a picture. My wife would say, Dampare photographer no pictures Ghana photographer of the year. You people can't you get it? Dampare 10 Ghana Police Service. He turned it to himself. It was Dampare. You people thought say Dampare was doing some extraordinary job. See that Dampare psychologically he's smart, and he read the Ghanaian for a long time. When he got the position, he basically became an IGP politician. And if you're not smart, you wouldn't know what Dampare was doing. It is seeing the policemen jubilating. It is not because they hate Dampare. It is because they realized that they were being led by a democratic dictator in the name of an IGP who basically portrayed to the world to say he is a leader for all. But deep down, there was no love down there, and the police were not at liberty to do their job. That is why you saw the jubilation. It is not because they have a personal issue with Dampare. It is because the servicemen realized that for a long time, they were living under some kind of tyranny. But Ghanaians could not hear them. Ghana Police Service personnel were screaming, we did not hear, because Dampare had used Oninenim to cover up their pain. Dampare's photographer was considered important in Ghana police than police officers in Penny 4. Yeah, Dampare photographer Bekono, wo police, senior rank police officer, you cannot sit there. Oh, story way. Nyome Koso. Now, pay attention. You see the story? IGP ede a statement about Bontine. An IGP statement is simple. What did he say? IGP say, what's going on? Okay, thank you. All right. Now, team. Thank you, team. Mr. P, I got it. Now, this is why I want you to be very attentive. Some people are making a lot of noise about Adentina, John Mahama, Epam Dampare. Adentina, John Mahama, administration, a change Dampare. Adentina, IGP, he was doing a marvelous job. Why did they change him? The issue here is Dampare, position in Papadia. Dampare, position in Mamedia. Dampare is an ordinary policeman who got the opportunity to serve as an IGP. It is Obiaba, no who say, I cannot work with you, I can work with another policeman like you are. What's the big deal here? Why should we make these things look like Dampare, the service away the BC, than for church on articles? Personally, I don't have an issue with Dampare, but Dampare is not the ultimate in Ghana policing. No. Now, the new IGP, the Assembly to Abontine, or say, police PROs to resume media interactions. Unim de Emma Assembly are very serious. This should let you know. Said na muhuni in public and police for jubilating. Dampare technically took the voice of the police and made it about himself. Do you know regional PROs who were paid as policemen to speak for various police stations around the nation? Dampare shut all of them down. Because Dampare wanted everything to be about him. It was only Dampare and a photographer who didn't cheer or winning photographer of the year in Ghana. Me say Dampare photographer on pictures. My wife is a senior photo editor at the New York Times. All the pictures you see from White House, every picture from New York Times, my wife they decided who goes there to take a picture. When a photographer from New York Times, any president, in the Air Force One, my wife they decided who goes. My wife would say, Dampare photographer, no pictures ben Ghana, photographer of the year. You people can't you get it? Dampare 10 Ghana Police Service, he turned it to himself. It was Dampare. Dampare did not give anybody any room. Dampare made the police service about him. And Intina, you people thought say Dampare was doing some extraordinary job. See that Dampare psychologically he's smart, and he read the Ghanaian for a long time. When he got the position, he basically became an IGP politician. And if you're not smart, you wouldn't know what Dampare was doing. Into seeing the policemen jubilating, it is not because they hate Dampare. It is because they realized that they were being led by a democratic dictator in the name of an IGP who basically portrayed to the world to say he is a leader for all. But deep down, there was no love down there, and the police were not at liberty to do their job. That is why you saw the jubilation. It is not because they have a personal issue with Dampare. It is because the servicemen realized that for a long time they were living under some kind of tyranny, but Ghanaians could not hear them. Ghana Police Service personnel were screaming, we did not hear, because Dampare had used Oninanim to cover up their pain. So every time the police are screaming, the police have a problem. We are looking at, hey, IGP Dampare, hey, we were not looking at the plight of the personnel. We were not looking at what Dampare took from the Ghana Police Service. Dampare made the police about himself. Dampare had an ambition. He had a psychological effect on Ghana police and Ghana 4. And Ghanaians, at the end of the day, because we are dumb, we did not see it. How many of Ghana Police Service event and now who say a new name had dominated the event? Never. It was about him. If it's not Dampare the show boy, the event should die. If it's not Dampare coming to do what? To see some people, the event should die. You did not even recognize anybody less than, apart from Dampare in the Ghana Police Service. You don't build a police like that. Because they are equally people are almost the same rank to say, oh, be beating away IGP. So if you fail to let those people be recognized, you deliberately use the media to make it look like, say, anybody in the police who tries to speak up is an enemy to the police. You become a tyrant. And then Papa will buy and I'll say, we need to give the voice back to the police. But one thing he said that I like, I'll say, they should not move away from their professional job. If you have been given a job to speak for the police, make sure you are professional indeed enough. If you stick or you move away from the professionalism of the job you are doing as a PRO for the police, you have to be sanctioned. It is only in Ghana and Dampare became the mouthpiece of Ghana police. How is that possible? We need to be able to hear our police PROs talk in our respective regions. Dampare by office and not shutting in down. Everything should go through Dampare. Dampare's photographer was considered important in Ghana police than police officers in Penny 4. Don't you know? You have no idea. Maybe a Dampare photographer, police, senior rank police officer, you cannot sit there. That is how low Dampare ran our police service. So we were looking at the face. Somebody like Franklin Kujo Mono, they were not deep enough to understand what was happening. They were shallow. They were looking at the lifestyle. They were looking at the lifestyle IGP. They were looking at the paparazzi IGP. They were looking at the flamboyance. They were looking at the cheers Dampare was getting. They failed to look beneath Dampare, the people who made Dampare Dampare. Because if you don't get a police force that respects and believes in their leader, then that police force is weak. That leader is weak. Dampare was weak when it comes to policing. Dampare looked huge and he looked like a very flamboyant and very strong leader in the face of the media. But when you go down, Dampare was the most weakest IGP you've ever seen because the people were not ready to die for Dampare. No police officer, in fact, majority of the police officers or the personnel were not willing to die for their boss because Dampare had no connection with those beneath him. And that jubilation. And what was happening, the jubilation wasn't because they were happy because a new man has come who at least see them as part of his office. That's all. The police needed that relationship. The police needed that coordination. The personnel down there, they needed it. Dampare did not give it to them. Dampare, the IGP, everything was about him. And I'm a did you even see or hear anything about any police officer? No. Everything went through Dampare because he strategically placed himself in a position whereby it would be difficult for you to even see his flaws. But my main country, the weakest IGP we've had in our history in terms of his relation with the personnel is Dampare. Yes. But when you're smart, politics, akata weni, wajini will say, you change Dampare, who's the motorbikes nam kwanso, who the flamboyance, young Dampare is not young. Look at Dampare deep, he's old. Dampare is not young. And it's hard to create two with him. You try Dampare picture bar, near Photoshop it, then the name is smooth. Dampare is not a kid, he's old. Dampare on to press up 10. He's old. But because he's skinny, my dream say a young police officer and you go for Penina Dampare. The idea here to make sure the police from bottom up is solid. No, he didn't have it. That was the quality he lacked. Leadership, coordination, understanding the people beneath him. He did not understand it. I don't hate Dampare. He's a police officer. Why should I hate him? But he lacked some things. That is why the president thought that he cannot work with him. There's nothing bad about that. He's still a police officer. He's still ready to serve Ghana. So why should he make it like a big deal? You're changing Dampare to being Cedar. And then you hear some old fools, Papa B, the former peace council, you should give us reasons why we are sacking Dampare. Dampare, he slept with your wife. That's why we sacked him. The former peace council, and the president should give us reason for sacking Dampare. Dampare slept with your wife. That's why Mahama sacked him. That is the reason. Ghana as a country, so used to lies from politics and our politicians. Let me say it that way. Now it's getting to the point that this resetting, especially MPP for they are still finding it difficult to understand say governance now is all about transparency and honesty. I told the NDC government or John Mahama when he was in the position, whatever he comes to meet, he should let Ghanaians know. The NDC appointees, ministers, CEOs, whatever they meet, they should be honest with Ghanaians. Because the honest thing is, so what kind of correct Ghana for? It is upon us to solve the problem. But the moment you cover anything up, then you are creating problems for yourself. And there's one particular ministry I am happy about the way the minister is communicating. The minister is communicating directly and letting us know what is there. Because minister no ba sikabia nafia ne papa sikabia na ho okotam e dey solve a problem. So one can no kre na ewom na nkyere ya na ya adwene ya ese bibia ya okay. That is where we find ourselves. Na ba obi abeka kire say we have a very resolute economy. COVID-19 hit pe na etu ebie. And na na Ekufu Addo beka kire say the economy is bouncing. It is good. Asem si na fe ya fe yesen. Now when you take your time to analyze the John Mahama government, and it started from the president himself. He has always made sure that in Sema Edahono, he makes you know, or he makes us know the truth. We will basically start to understand the problems. Now, one good thing about this government, and say, they have never told us to say, problem be on beto, they can't solve it. They have never lamented to say ya better problem be wo na sa problem no asebesim le jato wo intien tumi nya wo hwe. Every time you listen to this government, they have always assured us of trying to solve the problem than complaining. And it is one thing about this government I really respect. Now, there is one minister I've been following, and I know say if he sticks to this basics and open up the way he's opening up, Ghana, your politics will be a bit, we will not sit back and say all politicians are the same, because the record the NDC government way with the inclusion of these young politicians and their vibrancy and the honesty to be transparent, it is changing the dynamics of Ghana politics. Right now, the opposition is filled with old criminals. Now, what they don't know, they say, John Mahama administration way a change politics. Now, here. This is the energy, this is the energy minister. Sorry, I'm giving you wrong stories. This is the energy minister, John Abujinapo. Or say, energy sector debt hit 80 billion. Energy minister raises alarm over escalating energy sector debt. Wakachiramu. Or say, a car at Dahos is here. Ewo, yankani asem, edru 80 billion cedis. Now, if I'm a journalist right now, tomorrow I'll pick my phone, I'll ask for his ministry, I'll email him, and I'll say, Mr. Minister, give me updates on this 80 billion. That is what I need. Whether it was started yesterday or it was started today, the minister needs to give me documentations to back it. And one thing I like about this energy minister is, as much as they are trying to solve your energy problems, we all can see the new air plant they are building. The new gas plant they are building. You see it. Almost see for. He has not shied away from the truth. John Abujinapo always comes out. He does not say we think we can. He tells you what we are facing. And this is the only way we can build this nation. Because you see, when you don't get politicians who will be open or who will be honest with you to tell you the real problems that we face, and then you get politicians, liars like Bawumia, Oforiata, Ekufuadomo, this kind of Kennedy Japomwa, and no Ghana finding no home baby because we didn't be before COVID-19 hit, not Ghana economy not saying what they came to inherit in 2017. John Mahama Eja fundamentals etowa okoji IMF loan nana the loan was now yielding results 2017-2018 that was what they were riding on. 2019 there and started because the whole IMF program thing ended before COVID-19. Now time ended, they were supposed to be proactive to now start thinking out of the box to say okay, now how do we take it over from here? Because remember, John Mahama as a chief driver in 2016 Ojai eye cast na mankofono. He was in the car. He showed them where the gear was, where the indicator was, where the wiper whatever is, what into John Mahama Ebesino, they had a little bit of fuel. And John Mahama told them to conserve energy when you're in traffic. This car and Wangasa etmi jina and Wangasa etmi stop it, engine to me stop it. It's what you need to do. You say, Udu traffic ma dumijano. Then kakran make sure you conserve, and then what you have come to meet, make sure say why kakran to build upon it. Into okono, ultimate passengers make sure say you are not wasting air fuel. Men fa baby ani pani, fa baby obenya passengers. O fa bino now keep it be not be top trugum. John Mahama Sifri car in 2017 Omuchi car in 2017 air condition room. They didn't buy fuel. They didn't do any mechanical job. They didn't change any oil. 2018 no team and no muchi soroku omofa girls and no koba and no kenke party. 2019 and a few on a short year, but that fuel had gone below the middle gauge. They knew that this car is a car when you turn it on a forerunner. This car, the engine is simono o sope light crabwa eti petrol. These people were supposed to tell we the passengers in the car say this is the consequences we are going to face. Now obia fasten the seat belt. They were still telling us a car na bomba engine no ejina na so petrol no a full tank. E wa na car na ye den e kopem ye. E pem car between you say sa na car na kura engine esimu no. Sa engine mountain no ebu na engine si from Kim. Inti you can see clearly say the NPP government continuously, consistently, and inconsistently, they lie to us because you see, they realize say, Jimmy, they just have to cover the pictures, the numbers up, cover the problems up. But Omia was throwing figures around. Kind of for a touch white. When we say Jimmy, about the Bible quotations, the nam Ekufuado actually Jimmy no, also ba no or Kanyampia, the naysayers, the people against us. We were more fixated on their comedy than the real problem. In the time of COVID hits, and who said no, there's a problem. Now the economy is resolute. Sana omunye bibian to the John Mahama Jano Horoso. That is where you call IMF, you call World Bank. Almost akoji COVID sikalba no mudie. These are born fools. They have never thought of we Ghanaians. And been and adjust for catch mono. Feeding, school feeding. School feeding. Omo disikano sika enkwaradia. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. S. Thank you, Mr. P. I'll talk about this now. Sika young kwaranto totofe dia. I just have for the MPP for ashe e man ko for party medi. And the kwasi kontokwa. Adentra I maami bia wewu and this kano. Hwe nkwasa sema omoka. I just have for I ni simu jira se de oye coke for advert e Sudan. Abegina TV so catch say I me de me papa atwa so ka kasafo usirimu gire say una wutu koku so Sudan. Abegina TV so keka nkwase asam adan a maame bi awu oni na diska no na wo tro report say maame ne akromfo. What kind of foolishness is this? These are born fools. Enti I want to congratulate the minister. He should keep on doing what he's doing. Say bedu 90 million onka. Say Tiba 75 billion onka. He should let us know the real report. John Abu Jinapo, go it the same way. Yet problem. We need to find a way to solve it. Do not cover anything up. And that is my warning to every minister in Ghana. Every sector you have been given opportunity to serve, make sure what is there is the raw truth. Do not hide anything. Don't cover anything up. Because we want to know the truth and find solutions to our problems. I am telling this minister, the energy minister, a very vital sector. John Jinapo, stick to the principles. What is there? Tell us what is there. Don't cover anything up. Don't be scared. So people say, John Muhammad, do not be scared. We are not here for you to sugarcoat words, for you to lie to anybody. So far, you have proven, say, you are consistent and that you are ready to tell us the truth. You are transparent. Keep on telling us the truth. That is what I can defend. That is what we real Ghanaians want. We don't want anybody to lie to anybody. Say nobody should cover up anything. You see, only AC. Because there's a party 42 years in opposition. Only AC. Family of late school feeding program coordinator Gertrude Kwashiga demands Adwoa Safo retract her remarks, apologize, and stop tarnishing her legacy. Maamena Adwoa Safo person ojina ni wo no so edebeye important in Ghana politics no. Nebusuafo say Adwoa Safo in some o kan oboa on twin sign on pacho. Adwoa Safo ai ni simu gire se de ye de na no tu koku so Sudan. Ne simu gire se de de tu koku ne si tu koku so Sudan. Sansem we nyina ho otwen na maame na wu no. Otutu nani ewo MPP mu adan school feeding coordinator na ye deputy wo adan one deputy leading school feeding coordinator senior high school free SHS secretariat for Romani wo were they not working with school feeding coordinators? Why didn't she mention the senior high school free SHS secretariat omo leader omni woman na eye adwuma no because they are all alive. She cannot prove. So ohwehwe mu a no hu de wawu no maame ko gina ne funu n'echi na me fa be ye nipa o se ende maame na busuafo ka cha Adwoa Safo say asana wo kan ya tro ye nua no wawu ontumi nyine ho ano. Come and apologize. Also maka go for me mmoa. The NPP as a political party, they are animals. They are being led by a content creator, Afenyo Markin. Makacha he from Ochineko ubohu videos obetwa. Okodu parliament a video ngwa. A content creating odimsa TikTok for betwa. Afenyo Markin is using the NPP to create content. He sees you people somewhere Jimmy. Right now, Adwoa Safo, Maamina wo wunebusuafo said, no, you cannot disrespect our own, our family. This woman meant a lot to the family. Now what Adwoa Safo kwasi ampenyi. And the wafe o sin. Now we be a open and we wua. Now you can't some way with you. Ebe ode. O papa na why Jerry Kells not to ebe de. En kwasi ade o papa so mfe udufu. Me say politics here in Ghana. We mbu nwa ye mbu. Me say from Ochina. Adwoa Safo bring the report. The family of the lady you are trying to tarnish, to use her death to propel your stupid political career. The family is saying, this is not needed. Bring the report that you said, the audit report. For audit report, Ghana for. Adwoa Safo is not supposed to be given any room on our TV stations, on our radio stations. Mahamudu Bawumia, that is the MPP for you. Until we are setting the record straight, Adwoa Safo auditor report dembra. Echira okachire se onisa report no oye one book pe elo de mekufuado. Ena kwasi ampenyi ko toilet. Echira Adwoa Safo kachire se sa audit report no prepare no ode mekufuado ena ode wuro wi num wi hye no. Echire kufuado obeka kire se oye audit report no na eye one copy ena kufuado ode ma no owuro li de num wi. Enti ya de ahyewi enye sapa dia Adwoa Safo should come out and show us that audit report now. Oh yeah, you cannot step on the back of a dead woman. The family, they are still mourning. Now the question in radio and I say and I comfort and I frail. Now I like he said sama ameno ebi and mano omunye ready come see fucking baby and come do bejina no ka be nu ho because in some catch afame ma me ho no a ugu ma me ni maseno. Can you prove with every evidence, let her rest in peace. A party full of foolish people. And Kwasiafo party filled with stupid minds and brains. We are Ghanaians. We want to prosecute. You have to be prosecuted. It's a fact. They need to prosecute you and not a default. Now get us the rest of the people who have to be prosecuted, because all the audit to the bar, you oversaw. After you did the audit, you still headed a corrupt agency. So basically, aiding and abetting, you knew that there was crime there, and you sat there and actually you supervised the criminality. Until you address of no default, no, wo also go jail or say yeah national security chow. For our makado so dimbra, sa ani achimu nyina de mako gum kwasi asem mote Ghana bo see Jimmy on nam Ghana lawyer adjusafo na etete Ghana ofu bia a lawyer usimu gira se de otunto suoma Pakistan for Formula 1 coach meso usimu gira se ona otunto suoma Pakistan for Formula 1 coach kan kwasi asem and a lawyer adjusafo and a watching the news and the tonwa betna TV so and na no fiance ko kan kwasi asem and yet Ghana yenja your problems nyina na enya den otunto suoma adjusafo yenkodi nechi na yenjai otinto su adu asafo usimu gira se de yede osibie open ebie kokuso o Sudan fa audit report ne bra kwasiafo